Hey there, gang.
Hi, I'm Danny J.
And I'm Joel N.
And together,
we are
Keep on
Tolkien.
Yeah.
And today is our first official video for you, where we will be giving you our reactions to The Rings of Power.
Rings of Power, yeah.
And this took us off guard, guys, because we had planned on watching and getting this stuff recorded on the announced release date of September 2nd.
The fuck, Amazon?
And then they just dropped on us. I mean, we were just taken by surprise that it was actually available the day before for us.
Well, and then 2 episodes, too. I was like, oh, okay, there's 2 episodes.
Two
nice.
episodes. They announced the 2 episodes earlier on, but the whole surprise September 1st thing was a little bit much. We had to reschedule some things.
Yeah, so.
But
we're here.
We're here, and we're excited that the show's finally here so that all of the skepticism around the show
can be put to rest.
Finally put to rest.
It's going to be peaceful. It's going to be a peaceful day when that happens.
Yeah.
And then, so also, before we go and get ahead and get started here, we will be discussing the first 2 episodes.
2 episodes.
And spoilers.
So
if you have not watched the first 2 episodes, not just the first one, but also the second one, turn back now before it's too late and come back when you finished it.
Yeah, because here it comes, guys.
Here it comes.
Okay, so first and foremost, we just want to say, and we've mentioned it before, just the surrounding leading up to this show, that we've just the amount of negative backlash that this show got before it even came out.
Quite insane.
Blew us away.
Quite insane.
We hated the Hobbit trilogy, and I mean, you guys know we're not against hating bad works. That's what this podcast started on. Was hating,
the hatred of the Hobbit films.
Hating a poor adaptation of Tolkien's work.
Mm-hmm.
But even for us, the amount of hatred and just like visceral, like on the internet surrounding this shit, was insane.
It was totally insane. And a lot of it, I mean, some of it was just nerd shit. Just nerds being nerds.
Some of it was nerd
and
shit.
some of it was straight racist shit.
A lot of it
was straight racist. So
a lot of people were very uncomfortable with the fact that there were
people of color
in the show because they think that that's inconsistent with Tolkien's work.
Which is like
I just want to say
fantasy work, correct?
Yes.
It's a fucking fantasy, right?
It is fantasy. It is in fact fiction. I'm not sure if you are aware.
If you're aware, it is fiction.
But more so than that, if you genuinely think that there are no people of color in Middle-earth, then you clearly have not read all of the content out there.
Yeah.
Because there are. It is explicitly stated that there are men of varying skin colors, especially when it comes to the Easterlings and the Southrons and people who clearly get more sunlight. Tolkien wasn't stupid. He knew that.
Exactly. Like, you'd have to be, I mean, the sunnier parts of Harad and stuff is going to, you're going to have dark-skinned people.
And when it comes to darker-skinned hobbits, yes, that is also
a lot of them
explicitly written.
Straight up said they have brown skin.
Yeah, when we get into
brown, ruddy skin, I believe.
If anyone is interested, go back and watch our podcast episode about hobbits, and you'll learn about the 3 original families of hobbits, the Stewars, Harfoots, and Falahides, and how the Harfoots, which are in fact the ones that we're dealing with in this show, were in fact darker skinned and swarthier than the other folks.
Yep.
Than the other bands. So just throwing it out there.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because we have Harfoots in this thing, and they have varying skin tones, and people were so upset.
Yeah,
so upset.
Just right off the bat, we just want to throw that out there. And like elves with short hair, if anyone has long hair, at one point it had to be short before it grew long. So like, I mean, it's not. They weren't born with
logic.
They weren't born with long locks. Sure, maybe some people weren't accustomed to cutting it as much, but like,
well, and then like,
who cares if it's long hair, short hair? Especially if we're talking about like rangers.
Right.
Like our guy, Aaron Deer, I believe is his name, right?
Right, he's a soldier.
Ranger.
Yeah.
He's a soldier. Of course, he's not
got short hair.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I don't get it. Well, and like, I never understood, because like, there's certain elves I always saw with short hair, like Feanor, for instance.
Right.
I always thought Feanor had short hair.
I could see that.
Because he works in the forges all fucking day.
He's a smith.
It's hot in there.
Makes sense. So, okay, so that's pretty much all of our precursor stuff. So when it comes to the actual show itself, as for the first episode, I didn't have too many criticisms. I thought it was a nice setup for everything and getting to know everyone.
Yeah, I want to start by, before we get into it, just that I did generally like the show.
Yes. The show, now that we've seen it, we understand that it is not perfect. We will tell you why. Clearly, it is not perfect, but it is not bad. We genuinely enjoyed watching it. In fact, we just watched more of it just now.
Yeah, we watched probably more than we should have. Yeah,
we just got a little sucked in. It was nice.
And and I don't feel it took any more liberties than the Peter Jackson films ever did.
Yes, I like how you phrased that, because certainly they took a few liberties here and there, and we'll mention them, but it's no worse than the Peter Jackson trilogy. Yeah. So,
and I think that's another thing too we got to keep in mind here is that like most of us saw those films when we were children, so we do kind of see them through rose-colored glasses.
It's true, yeah.
And
but
like,
if
they were to come out today, we would be complaining about the same type of shit. You know what I mean?
And if you're interested in maybe reviewing on some of the negative aspects of the Lord of the Rings trilogies are that maybe you missed when you were younger, go check out our episode where we talked about
what we hate about the
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Which we don't hate the Lord of the Rings, but we talked about some of the things as adults that we found that were inaccurate or bothered us. So check that out. But so we kind of decided to break the episodes down into like categories, how we wanted to review. So what do we got first? So first, let's start off with score. First and foremost, that's a huge part of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You know, good old Howard Shore. Everyone loves Howard Shore's score from the original trilogy, and he did it for the Hobbit trilogy too.
And and I wanted to, one of the things I wanted to say about the score is that I was talking to Joel about this earlier, how the Howard Shore score in the Peter Jackson movies nowadays, just because of the style of film that we, our modern cinema, might be seen as a little bit overbearing. And this one was subtle, and I like the subtlety of it. It was very modern in that way, that it was very subtle.
Yeah, I definitely appreciated the score. So in case anyone isn't aware, they did get Howard Shore to come back and write a theme or two. But in general, the music in the show is not Howard Shore. It's all composed and I think conducted by Bear McCreary, who is a fantastic composer. He's done other things, recently he did the score for the Godzilla King of the Monsters movie, which isn't winning any Oscars, but I've loved.
Still fucking rules. Let's be honest.
I mean, it's a bunch of monsters fighting on screen.
What more?
And Bear McCreary just fucking killed the score to go with that. It pulls you in, and it's fantastic. And he did. Bear McCreary did a really awesome rendition of the original Godzilla suite. Go check that out if you want to get a feel for his work. But he does a very good job of taking something that already exists and trying to fit the style. So in this instance, he's basically picking up the Howard Shore style of music, and it works really well.
I think they did a really good job. Yeah. Score. What else?
Score is fantastic. I loved the score for Khazad-dûm. The theme when they enter when Elrond first gets escorted into Khazad-dûm and he sees it and he's like, "Oh shit!"
This is sick. Everything that had to do with Khazad-dûm was sick.
Was fantastic. Yeah, score was good.
Agreed.
So the next thing that we wanted to touch on was the lore behind it. Whether it was
there was
accurate.
less lore than I thought there would be in the first episode, to be honest. I was expecting there to be we were watching it with our friend Virginia, and I was expecting to have to. She's actually our production manager, Virginia.
She is.
But I was expecting to have to explain a bunch of things why this wasn't supposed to be that way and blah blah blah, and there really wasn't all that much of it.
No, there weren't very many instances where I was sitting there and I went wrong. Yeah. I did do that a couple times here and there.
Sure.
For instance, when it came to Galadriel's monologue about how her brother Finrod Felagund
hunted Sauron
and sought him out, and I was like, wrong.
Wrong.
He didn't devote his life to hunting Sauron. That's actually explicitly Gandalf's thing.
Yeah.
Gandalf's the wizards in general were sent in reaction to Sauron to deal with him, but Gandalf is really the only one of them who devoted his whole fucking life
to that,
to hunting him down, even during peace times. That's Gandalf's thing. So I was like, no, not.
Yeah, and Sauron did murder Finrod Felgen.
Yeah,
That
but
did happen.
exactly. At the same time, it is plausible that that beef would be there. They
It's plausible
certainly
enough, yeah.
There's certainly it's personal because Sauron took Finrod Felgen's tower during the First Age from him.
Drove out Orodreth with Halloween-style creatures.
Mm-hmm. With the old Minas Tirith, the first Minas Tirith, on the island of Tol
Syrian or
Syrian.
Tol and Garwath, right? Something like that. We were just talking about this on the Discord.
Yeah, it is Tol Syrian, and then after it's taken over by Sauron, it becomes the Tol and Galrath, the Isle of Werewolves. Yeah. So it's plausible that beef between Finrod and Sauron would exist, but there was never like an explicit "I'm hunting you always."
There's never any
Sauron does also kill him in the end, and I really dug that they gave him all the lashes on his body as if he were naked fighting a werewolf, because that's exactly how he died.
Yep.
So that was cool. I really dug that, and a lot of the lore was really accurate. I loved the prologue.
The prologue was sick. I love the dude that got to play Finrod too. I don't know if we're allowed to call him Finrod because of copyright purposes or whatever, but Finrod Felgen,
Galadriel's brother,
was great. I really like that dude.
Yeah, I dug it. I dug the casting. They did him justice.
Yeah, and little Galadriel was great. She was great.
Yeah, that was good. I loved the prologue, just getting to see a little bit of like the Balerian history and a flash of what we think was the Dagor Bragollach.
Yeah, we weren't really sure. Maybe it was it could be a mashup of all the battles.
Initially, I thought it was the Nirnaeth, but Danny pointed out astutely that we're pretty sure Finrod has passed by the time the Nirnaeth comes around. So we think that was the Bragollach that they pictured him fighting in, but and then
either way, some gnarly first stage battle.
The darkening of Valinor.
The darkening of Valinor, you guys.
That was cool. The death of the trees.
I enjoyed that.
Cool shit. Dug it. And then there is in the first episode when we see Galadriel in Middle Earth, they're like up north in the Fjordwaith, and they're looking for a stronghold that they don't name explicitly, but we think is meant to be an Autumno reference.
Maybe, possibly.
They show a clip of a map too, and it looks like that's what they're trying to point out. However, Autumno technically I think is gone. I think the Valar came and they took Melkor out. They raised it, but they did say that they never finished
clearing out
plundering
all the dungeons,
its depths and dungeons because it was so big. So clearly there was something left. Maybe. So I guess that is semi-plausible. But they made it look like
Sauron did command Autumno at one point too. Remember when Melkor was off corrupting?
Yeah. So it would make sense that he'd like go back there and try to like regroup or something. So that's plausible. The other lore thing that bothered me a little bit was her Galadriel sailing into the west.
Okay.
Because she didn't sail into the west at that time. We know that
she wasn't allowed to.
She wasn't allowed to. We know she wasn't allowed to. That didn't happen until later. It wasn't until she passed the test with Frodo that she was
able to go back.
Able to go back to the west.
Still a criminal.
She was a criminal. That oath of Feanor, man,
still
follows you.
Yeah. Well, she was under the doom of Mandos,
Yeah, so that bothered me a little bit, but I kind of get that they were trying to accentuate her sense of duty and whatnot. And then they also wanted to show off, I guess, the straight path to Valinor, which was
that was dope. I like that, though.
That was cool. Okay.
Yeah, how the clouds like opened up. And
I disagree with the reasons that Galadriel was there,
but it was pretty. Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
Pretty
seeing
sick.
the straight way like open, and then like it rained light, and like that was cool.
I love how the elves all start singing some song that they're all supposed to know too. Like
I dug it. I got behind. I saw they started singing. I was like, "They're singing."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. No, elves do that. They do that.
They're singing.
Oh, and then immediately after that, the worm, the water worm. I loved that they referred to it as a worm.
The worm.
Very Tolkien-y.
Yeah. I like that water sequence too. Is pretty cool.
Yeah, big old sea monster chomping people up for a little bit there. That's fun.
The lady that plays Galadriel must be able to swim really well.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah, when she jumped out of the boat, she's like, all right, here we go swimming. I was like, okay, so your plan is to just swim across the sea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
why
you're
not?
just gonna swim the Sundering Sea. Oh, all right. Yeah. You're an elf. I guess you got some endurance, but damn,
shit.
Dude. Oh. The second episode, I think I enjoyed a little more because there was
I agree. The second episode was better.
the Khazad Doom stuff was fun,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed the relationship between Durin the Fourth and Elrond.
And Elrond, yeah.
That was fun.
We were talking about this earlier too, Joel, and I was saying that this is something that's not often addressed in Tolkien, but totally would always be a problem in that if you are friends with an elf, they're going to fuck off for like years at a time, and they're going to miss huge chunks of your life, and they're not going to think anything of it.
They're not even going to realize that it's an issue.
Yeah, like they're not even going to realize, and like that was like, yeah, Durin was heartbroken that his friend hadn't been around for 20 years.
Yeah, you brought it up, and I agree. It's really cool that they actually like brought that issue.
They addressed it.
They
finally.
addressed that issue. Like, being friends with an elf is hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sucks at times. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought that was a really cool scene when they had that spat, and then he was like, why are you so mad at me? And Durin's like, it's been 20 years.
20 years,
and he
dog.
says, and Elrond says, has it only been 20 years? And Durin's like,
yeah, only.
He's like, he literally says, he's like, I lived an entire life in that 20 years.
Yeah,
I got married and I had 2 kids. And
two kids.
Missed it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt for that though. I felt for Durin hard.
Mm-hmm. That was cool. I pretty much loved everything within Khazad Doom. I was obsessed with it. I was soaking it all up.
Oh, let's talk about one thing from the episode, so that continues into this in the second episode. Asteroid Man.
Asteroid Man.
Asteroid Man.
Who is Asteroid Man?
Who is Asteroid Man? I'm saying right here, you guys, it's Gandalf.
So before the show, I was thinking it could be Sauron, like after the destruction of
That's
Numenor.
what I thought. Too.
Clearly, that's not the case because Numenor is still here.
We haven't
He's
even been
not
introduced.
He hasn't even gotten there yet. So, and then with all the stuff that's happening around the wizard, like the fire, and then some of the weird effects with the trees would like bend in, and some of the. It's clear that he's
fire effect was really cool.
Clearly one of the wizards.
Clearly, yeah, Maiar of some type.
Clearly one of the wizards. But I don't know if I'm willing to say it's Gandalf. Maybe.
The only reason I say it's Gandalf is because he crashed among the Harfoots. And
Right.
like that would explain like why Gandalf has this special relationship with the hobbits.
Yeah, and when it comes to canon, that would be inaccurate because the wizards didn't come until the Third Age.
Yeah, the wizards never came until the Third
There
Age,
is some accounts where they say the blue wizards may have come earlier. Blue wizards may have come in the Second Age, which is why I think maybe that's how they're going to try to get away with this and say maybe it's one of the other wizards.
Maybe.
But if it's Gandalf, that would be inaccurate.
It'd still be cool though.
But it's I'm still going to watch it. It'd still be
Like,
cool. If
anyway
this is their
any-
version of like early Gandalf,
Cool.
I don't
Yeah.
take issue with this version of early Gandalf. I just take issue with when this is happening.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not canon.
Oh, so let's jump to our next point. After the lore plot, well, we kind of talked about plot a little bit.
did.
We've been enjoying the plot so far. The stuff that's not part of the lore that they're including is all very
It's
well.
fine.
It's well written. We think the story is well written enough.
Like
It
I
makes
said,
sense.
You got to take those rose-colored glasses off from the trilogy and be like, even though we love the trilogy, they did some things too that we would consider grievous.
And so far, the progression of events makes decent sense. Yeah. Obviously, this is a lot of setup, so they're kind of jumping around, showing us a lot of stuff. And my understanding is the pacing of the show is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be jumps that are like years.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that. The pacing is going to be interesting. And then let's also talk about the acting.
Acting was solid. I thought the acting was solid for the most part.
Yeah, I thought the acting was pretty good. I didn't take really issue with anyone's acting. I thought it was all good. I was impressed with the younger actors too.
Yeah.
I thought the person that got to play Nori is doing a pretty good job. I was impressed with them. The actor they got for Elrond, I'm not entirely sold on yet.
Okay, I do like the Elrond dude. You know why?
Daniel likes the Elrond guy.
'Cause he's fucking nice.
He's not angry.
He's polite.
He's not angry and super serious.
He
all the time.
smiles.
He smiles.
He laughs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He's not Hugo Weaving, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, Hugo, but
I can dig it. I can dig it. Yeah, I guess I'm just not really sure what I was expecting, but I'm not personally sold on it 100%, but I'm guessing it's probably going to get better as it goes. We'll see what happens.
He'll get cooler.
I don't hate his Elrond. I'm just not entirely sold on it. I love the casting for Gil-galad though. Gil-galad.
Gil-galad.
Yeah, High King Gil-galad. You can tell he clearly looks a lot like the guy that they had
from
in the prologue from the original trilogy.
Yeah.
But he does a good job. I like it.
Yeah, Gil-galad's cool, man.
Gil-galad, and then the guy that got to do Arendir's good. His girlfriend's good. All the acting has been very solid.
Yeah. Let's talk about that sword a little bit at the end, though.
Oh, the sword.
That evil sword.
So at the end of episode, we get introduced to the sword in episode 1, but in episode 2, we get to see weirder shit happen where the boy's blood is drawn towards the sword, and when it touches it, the sword rebuilds itself or something.
And it's clearly got the symbol of Sauron.
It's clearly got the symbol of Sauron on it. When it does its magical stuff, you hear the Sauron.
Yeah.
The Sauron whispering shit that they kind of made significant in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yeah. So I don't quite understand what's happening with this Sauron sword. I don't remember.
I don't either.
Sauron explicitly having a special sword. Maybe this. I don't know what this is really about. Is this kid gonna end up being the Witch King? That's kind of.
That's what we. Yeah, that was
a theory that popped in my head. Maybe this kid is gonna be the Witch King. Especially if we're gonna be jumping forward a few years and see him as an adult, and he's had this corrupt sword, and the kid's clearly got some issues. He's probably gonna. I think at this point it's clear that the kid's gonna develop into a conflicted character.
It seems that way.
He's going to be a conflicted character, if not a villain at some point. So
yeah.
And then what else is there? At the end of episode 2, we got our very first shot of a Númenórean ship, and I think it's the Shadow of our Pharazôn. Although I don't know why it'd be him in particular to be on this boat, but he's the king. He'd probably be back on Númenor, but
maybe it's Isildur.
Oh, maybe it's Isildur. I suppose it was just a silhouette, so I guess I don't know for sure.
Yeah, you think it's a Númenórean ship, though? I guess I didn't even put that together.
I think it's a Númenórean ship, because who else would be out there? If it's not the elves sailing west, then it's probably a Númenórean ship.
Yeah, you're more likely to run into them than anybody.
So after...
I fucking can't wait for the Númenóreans, though, dog.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Númenor. I'm not... From what I've seen in the previews, I was hoping that the costuming for the Númenóreans would be a little more grand, but it's not bad. I guess we haven't quite gotten to that point in the show yet.
We'll see.
Premature.
We'll see. Anything else you have to say about these two?
No. Well, we're going to touch on the dialogue. The dialogue we thought was pretty good. And
inspired by the people who wrote this are clearly nerds of the genre of Lord of the Rings,
of the movies.
Yeah, because it was very similar, inspired by.
Yes, you could tell a lot of the lines are almost derivatives of some of the lines that were almost derivatives. I thought was you might have want to change that up a little more, my friend, but I get where they were going.
Yeah,
they want that familiar content. They drop salted pork and
that's funny.
Malt beer and
right off the boat.
There's a few other things that were clearly derivatives of other Lord of the Rings lines. But I mean, in general, the dialogue writing has been pretty good so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was done, I would say, lovingly by nerds.
I think the dialogue is going to be the most difficult part to get right, though, just because Tolkien's not here to write the dialogue.
Well, then also he didn't write much for the Second Age.
No,
most of that shit is over.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Sweeping over history. It's
not, with the original trilogy, you had a whole novel that you could work off of dialogue. You could get the style of how people talk. You can get words they would use and things. In this instance, they're making it all up.
Yeah.
So so far they're doing a pretty good job trying to imitate dialogue that maybe Tolkien might have written, but it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Last thing to touch on, we want to touch on the CG.
CGI looked pretty good.
Digital effects were pretty good. Obviously,
pretty solid $1 billion there.
If there was the reason why this is last on our list is because it's probably the thing we were kind of least worried about, because I mean they're pouring more money into this show than anything else in the goddamn world. So any other show in the world. So clearly, if anything was going to be good, the effects were going to be good, and they were. They were impressive. I loved everything we saw. I
did too. I thought it was really cool. I thought the action sequences were cool. Galadriel killing that frost troll or whatever the fuck was.
Oh, sure.
That was
sick.
That
was fun, yeah. Oh, Lore. Jump back to lore. One
Yeah.
issue. Another issue I took with was that there are no Malorn trees in Linden.
Oh yeah, Joel is very particular about this.
So, I mean, when they show Linden, it looks like this huge, beautiful elf paradise with what I'm assuming they look like. They don't explicitly say, but they look just like the Malorn trees from the original trilogy and everything. And while it's true they did bring Malorn trees from Numenor to Linden, it's explicitly said that they would not root there. So
Well, it's even further inaccurate because the Numenorians haven't gotten here yet.
that's true. Well, we don't know that the Numenorians I think exist already, but I don't know.
Nobody's mentioned them.
That's true, but we're also pretty early in the show.
I feel like we haven't even met them yet. I think the Numenorians are gonna like come and start colonizing the Southlands and stuff.
Do you think we're going to see colonization?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there'd already be Numenorians there from colonization prior, but like, you know.
Yeah, they're already everywhere. Numenorians are
everywhere.
But yeah, so that was another slight issue I took with there wouldn't be like big forests of fucking Malorn trees in Linden because they never took there. So, and the Malorn tree in Khazad Dûm, cool concept, although I don't think that ever happened either.
That'd be sick.
That'd be sick, but I don't think so.
Wouldn't it be cool?
And then they mentioned a great Malorn tree in Linden. I tried looking that up and I couldn't find anything about it. So unless it's an obscure reference to something I don't know.
It seems though, like with the track record going, almost every city has a significant tree in it somewhere.
Yeah, apparently.
So like, it's not a big stretch to think that like they would have a big central tree.
Maybe, yeah.
In Linden, at least I think, because everybody's got a tree, right?
Mhm.
At least the elves and all the Elendili.
Everyone loves trees.
Yeah, they love the trees.
Oh, a couple things I liked. The little story between Celebrimbor and Elrond about the Silmarils. They reminisce.
That was cool. That was good writing.
Yeah, and that was good writing. And then Celebrimbor tells a tale about how when Morgoth first got the Silmarils, all he could do was look at them for weeks until a tear dropped on them and he saw his reflection and it like broke him out of his gaze, his daze he was in. I really enjoyed that little story, but I couldn't find it anywhere when I did some searching.
No, I think it was some made up shit. It was good.
It might be some original content, which was a very good little
Yeah.
tale to throw in there. It
whoever
worked really well. I liked that.
Pat yourself on the back, writer that came up with that.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And then also another little thing that they threw in there that I wasn't familiar with and I'm not sure is a real thing, but I liked, was the Dwarven rite of Sigyn Tarag.
This is totally something that the dwarves would do. It's like,
Totally.
Yeah, it's not even like a question, really. It's like, you might as well just make some shit up like that up because they'd do that for fun.
Yeah, so for those of you who might not remember, this is the Dwarven test of endurance that they say was fashioned by Aule himself. You just literally break rocks back and forth until one person can't anymore. And even if your hammer breaks, if your hammer breaks, they'll give you another one.
They'll give you a new one.
Just keep going. Yeah, I thought that was good. I liked that.
That was fun. Yeah, all the Khazad-dûm stuff was just so cool.
All the
dwarf stuff was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel like a little back to the dwarves a little bit that they're not going to like they're definitely going to play them for comedy. But they're not going to disrespectfully play them for comedy like they did in the Hobbit films.
Yes, so a note on the dwarves, as someone who really likes the dwarves.
You could say that.
The dwarves are definitely better in this than they were in the Hobbit. An improvement, certainly. Personally, I'm a little nitpicky because I love the dwarves, so I would have liked to see slightly smaller noses. I understand they're supposed to have big noses, but some of them were a little cartoonish, a little comical. And then, of course, I disagree with the Scottish accent. That's just me.
Yeah.
I wish that I would love to see dwarves with the intended accent of like a Semitic language, Arabic or anything.
Yeah.
But all in all, I do really like the dwarves in this. I think they're about just as good as they were in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And I love all the dwarf-related content we're getting with this. It's great.
So cool.
But I think that's about all I've got for these two.
Me too. Anything else?
No, man. So, stay tuned, my friends. We're going to come at you with more of these in the future. So
yeah, every week here until it's done. And then, KoT will be coming back
shortly thereafter. Yeah, you guys are going to get as much KoT as you can handle.
Yes, indeed, friends.
All right, my friends. Well, that's about all we've got for you today.
Yeah, and also here's another. We'll post this in the description here.
Mm-hmm.
Join the Discord server. It's hopping right now.
Yes, join the Discord server. It's very active.
Everybody's going on
get
and
your
on about
get
the
your
show.
KoT merch. We've got a store up. That's keep-on-tolkien-podcast.tmail.com.
Yes.
Go get your favorite podcasts merch and
yeah.
rep.
We just threw up a new design.
Yeah. And more
we
coming.
Got more coming.
Mm-hmm. Go
Yeah.
check it out.
So check that out, guys.
All right, my friends.
But yeah, that's all from us. I'm Danny J.
I'm Joel Lynn. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Aure en Tuluva.